Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We trust that you are going to make it good. And we're going in with a lot of expectation, Lord Father. I pray that whatever we learn may be useful to us, Lord Father. And I pray that you may bless the speaker and bless everyone on this call as we take up this information. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, so Mrs. Anita Malinga, thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us. We're really, really grateful. And I would like to tell the rest of you about this incredible lady. She's a very accomplished lady. Mrs. Malinga is a business consultant with over 15 years of experience. She's a dedicated educator and a career counselor, bachelor's and master's administration, and is currently pursuing her PhD in the same at Nkumba University. So we're definitely in safe hands. And she's a founder and executive director of Shine Leadership International. She previously worked as the general manager at Hosanna Investments Limited, and she was also the deputy director of admission at KIU, where she was also an assistant lecturer and program coordinator. She has been recognized in New Vision as one of the top 40 under 40. That's to say, one of the top 40 most influential books: The Campus Challenge, How to Survive and Excel at the University, and Dear Young Adult. Get them. They're really good. And she's also a proud mother of 4. And learning about her, I've seen that she's very passionate about helping the youth unlock their true potential so that they can positively transform the world. And that's what we're here for. So super blessed to be here. Oh yes, like I was saying, we're so blessed to be here to get to listen to her today. So thank you so much today. We're eagerly waiting to learn from you. So the floor is yours. Thank you.
Good morning. Efelese. I was still practicing the name. How to mention it. I don't know if I'm mentioning it right. Yes. Thank you so much for your kind introduction. I'm just going to share a briefly my video. I don't know if you can see me in one of my gadgets there. It's a little bit dark, but it's too bright again. Can you see me, guys?
Not at the moment, no. Okay, I see you now. There, yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you. So that is me. And I just wanted people to see that I'm not a robot. So that I can now turn off my video so that guys can, can save some of the data. Some of the young people's data is really, they want to use it sparingly. So that is me. My name is Anita Malinga, as Efelese has introduced, and we're going to be having a very interesting session on how to prepare for job interviews. And this is a topic that is disturbing very many young people. Why? Because they apply for these jobs and they are wondering why they are not, no one is calling them up to take up the jobs, or what is happening. Even when they get the jobs, they lose them very fast. But also, we also know that there are very high rates of youth unemployment in Uganda, but also globally. But what I'm saying personally from my own point of view is that youth unemployment or underemployment should be a very temporary situation, not a permanent one. And so when they say preparing for job interviews, the secret is in the preparation. Let me say that. It's in how you prepare that gets you the job. The mistake that many young people make is to think that it is what they do during the interviews or what they do after the interviews, the bribing, the corruption, that actually gets them the jobs. And I'm saying no. it takes a lot of preparation. So it's actually what you do before that matters, not what you do during, and it's not what you do after. And so preparation is very, very important for our young people. And we want to see in the next 1 hour, how best can we prepare ourselves as youth to get those jobs. By the way, we can also prepare ourselves to be self-employed, not just to get employed. And so we're just going to go on a journey together as I share my presentation, just to share with you some tips out of experience, out of the so many sessions I've had with the youth, how they can best prepare themselves for the world of work. And I think every youth who is on call, or every young adult, even the mentors and who will be on call, will be able on how they think the youth can best prepare themselves for the world of work, not just for the job interviews. So allow me put off my screen. Happy to see each one of us who is on call. My name is Anita Malinga, and I am very passionate about the youth. And in my presentation, we'll be sharing quite a lot about how to prepare ourselves for the job interviews. Yes, so allow me put off my video, if that's okay, and let's dive into this conversation.
Yes, ma'am, that would be perfectly acceptable. Thank you.
All right, thank you, thank you. So what I'm going to do is to share my my presentation. I think FLS, it will now be on the other gadget that I'm using. I'm using 2 gadgets. Okay. Can you see that, FLS?
Yes, the presentation is showing up on the screen.
Okay, perfect. So, as I mentioned earlier, we're going to be talking about preparing for a job interview. And this is how I want to approach this. By the way, FLSA, I don't know if you mentioned, but I am an alumni of the Institute of National Transformation, and I was in class 25. So I just wanted people on call, or the youth on call, to know that I'm a proud product of the Institute of National Transformation, and some of my experiences and expertise, I tapped into them when I joined the Institute for National Transformation. And the Institute has the Young Leaders Program that is currently ongoing, and I'm just encouraging the youth to be attending such sessions, to continuously equip themselves, even as they prepare themselves for the world of work, and it's part of the preparation process. And so, yes, I'll be looking at what we need to know about jobs and what we need to know about interviews. But also, we'll delve into how to prepare for job interviews. The preparation process is not a one-day thing. It can actually take years. We take years to prepare for these interviews. The unfortunate bit is that our young people think that we prepare for job interviews when they call you for an interview, or when you receive an email for an interview. So actually, we do our entire life prepares us for job interviews, and we'll look at that. Then also, I'll focus on what to do when you get the job, and it will be just very brief. I'll be here. We're here for the next 1 hour, or 1 hour and 30 minutes. And yes, we'll have a great time. So these will be my areas of focus. But before I even delve into them, I just want to share with you the unemployment crisis that we are having, not only in Uganda, but also in the world globally. Okay, and so we are having cases of youth taking it to the streets, saying, guys, we are educated, but we're unemployed. We chose education, not poverty. In Uganda, a few years ago, we realized youth had gone ahead to form the National Association of the Unemployed. And of course, the question that usually many young people after graduation have is, what next after university? And so when you get your copy of the Daily Monitor, Friday, November 18th, 2022, Uganda Bureau of Statistics released some very important information there and findings that indicate that 9.3 million youth are either in education, employment, or receiving training. And we know that now if 41% of our young people are in that category, and we know the youth in Uganda below the age of 30 are 75%, we see only 30% thriving probably in the workspaces. So that means the unemployment crisis is still high. And the onus, yes, is on the government to put in place some initiatives, and it has done its part. I was muted. Can I now be?
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you again.
Okay, I don't know at what point you lost me, so okay. I think what I was saying is that what we want to have in this discussion is that after all is said and done, after the blaming has taken place, blaming the government, blaming the education system, blaming your parents and relatives and your forefathers and all that, I think what I want us to have in this discussion is, what role as a youth do I have to play in getting myself out of this situation, or not even being part of these statistics in future? You bring the responsibility back to yourself and be more proactive, or take a proactive kind of approach than a reactive kind of approach. And so we have these statistics all over the place. And when I was reading an article by Akode, I think they were having it was published out of the 49th session of the State of Nation platform they had in 2014. And at the time, youth unemployment in Uganda was standing between 64% and 70%. And they also highlighted how 400,000 youth are released annually into the job market to compete for approximately 9,000 available jobs. This one basically shows us that the jobs are very few compared to the number of youth that are churned out from education institutions, university, and vocational institutions and all that. Quite a number of youth, but the jobs are few. The situation is even worse for semi-skilled and unskilled youth. So youth unemployment Yes, and so it will be very unfortunate if, even after knowing all these, the challenges that we face probably as a country in terms of scarcity of jobs, it will be very unfortunate for the youth to still approach things the old way. It will be very proactive for you to, come up with different strategies. For example, skilling yourself, looking out for volunteering opportunities, networking, and so many other things that we can do to prepare ourselves for the jobs or for the world of work or for the marketplace if you would like. And so, yes, these statistics are not meant to paralyze us. They are meant to inform us of the situation that is there. And then we strategize on how best we can approach the world of work. And so in my own point of view, I think unemployment or underemployment among the youth should be a temporary situation, not a permanent situation. So it's not for you to, join the crowd and say, the youth unemployment issue is terrible. There are no jobs, which is true. But then what are you doing about it? And I also think that even in the absence of jobs, the youth should continuously acquire skills and seek opportunities for work. This prepares them for employment or self-employment. And I'm saying this out of my own personal experience, but also out of the different experiences of fellow youth or fellow young people that I have interacted with. Now, we live our lives in seasons. So when you're not paid for work, which is called employment is when you're paid for the work you're doing. When that season has not yet come, or when you're underemployed, continuously equip yourself, continuously seek for opportunities for work, because there are few jobs, but there's a lot of work out there. There is a lot of work. Only that the work out there, most of it may not give you the amount of money to meet your basic needs or your needs as a person, but there is work. So instead of sitting at home, or instead of going and spending time betting or idling, it's better you spend time working. You're part of a group, networking. You're getting experience. You're getting skills. You're equipping yourself. You're getting knowledge. It prepares you for employment at a future time T, and or self-employment. And that's why I said the issue of unemployment should not be a permanent situation in the life of a youth. It should be a temporary situation. And this will totally depend on how you approach the world of work and how you prepare yourself for the world of work. Efelese, I'll need your guidance on whether at what point we take in questions and answers, but I think I would request that I first give the presentation and then we have the Q&A at the end.
Yes, I'm of the same mind. It would be actually better to get all the questions at the end. For everyone listening, if you like, as we go along, you can put your questions in the chat, and then at the end of it all, we'll read them. Or if you'd rather wait until the end to ask your question personally, that's okay as well.
Okay, thank you so much. And at this point, I think it's also comfortable for me to say that we need, and it has been said over and over again, that we need to look for opportunities in every problem. And so if unemployment is a problem that you're facing, instead of focusing so much on the problem, we need to look for the opportunities out of it and see how best we can utilize it to our own benefit. Yes, I mentioned that I'm going to share something about jobs. And these are my own points of view, that and some of these are informed by the statistics and the information I have earlier shared. The jobs are few that are created annually compared to the number of workers that join the marketplace or the workplace. So jobs are few, they are scarce, and that's the reality that we need to deal with every day. This has led to high rates of unemployment, especially among the youth, and unemployment not only in Uganda, but also globally. Now, when you get paid work, which is where we call you employed, we need to be thankful and we need to work hard. Let's not despise jobs because of their pay. Embrace humble beginnings because you're getting skills and experience which are preparing you for something better. Because in some other articles I was reading, and it's an outcry of many employers of how the youth are undermining certain jobs. And so just encouraging the youth not to despise jobs, to take it up, so that because one job leads you to another, and so let's embrace humble beginnings. When looking for jobs, we need to first understand what you are selling. And I think this is an area, it's a whole topic of discussion, how to prepare youth to understand what they are selling. Because this is the mind and attitude they take to the interviews. And many times you ask them, what can you do, or what do you want to do? And they tell you any job. Now, any job is not a kind of job, you know. So when looking for jobs, first understand, what are you selling? What is your service? How is the organization, how is the business you're going to work for going to benefit from your service, going to benefit from your product? By the way, you can apply for a job as a supplier of a certain product. But I think for purposes of this group, I think it was mostly focused on getting a job, probably, in a certain organization. So, but that's a discussion for another day. Understand what you are selling. How is the organization going to benefit from your service? What problem are you going to solve in that organization? What are you going to do that is going to add value to that organization? What are you going to do that is going to help that organization move from where it is and grow? And so that is exactly what you're selling, and that is what they want to hear during the interview. Now, I was sharing with youth, I think it was early this week, about, and I just gave them an exercise to pay themselves, and some of them could be on call. And they gave themselves, others gave themselves 500,000. I asked them to pay themselves 500,000, others gave themselves 3 million, others gave themselves 1 million. And the question was, okay, the context was you've worked so hard, at the end of the day, assume you're an employer and you're paying your workers, so pay yourself, and so they paid themselves, giving different reasons. So I asked them, why did you pay yourself that much? And many of the answers were geared towards their own personal interest, not the interest of the owner of the business, or not the interest of the business. Now, young people will pay you, or organizations pay you to solve their problems, not your problems. Your problems come in secondary. And so when you're preparing yourself to go and work, or to go for an interview, always put forward the needs of the employer, the needs of the business, not your own. And so statements like, I'll pay myself 1 million because of the needs that I have, because of my expenses. You say that in an interview, they'll tell you thank you for coming, and they won't call you back again. So when you're asked how much you want to be paid, always front the solution you're bringing that is going to benefit the organization in question. And that is why they're going to pay you. What problem are you going to solve? Still about jobs, Robert Kiyosaki says, when you get a job, work to learn, don't work for money. Look for jobs that can help you develop the skills, systems, and people, rather than just pay you well. Okay, yeah, and this one is basically guiding that let's not just up any job just because they are paying. There is a pay at the end of it all. Yes, we've told you not to despise, but you need to understand that there are some jobs that are lucrative. There are some jobs that can actually cost you your life. And if you don't discern what kind of job you're going for, then you can easily lose your life even in the process. Or you're likely to not perform well because you're not doing it out of passion. You're just doing it for the money, and you're not even acquiring more skills in the process and all that. So go to work and learn, get experience, develop your skills, learn how to develop systems, learn how to develop people, learn how to work in teams, but don't just go in for the money. Again, about jobs don't work for money, as Kiyosaki has shared with us, work to learn and get skills. Now, the Book of Wisdom also tells us, don't work for man, work for God. And you'll see that in Colossians 3:23. Know who you are and what you can do. This will help you enjoy what you are doing. And in a few minutes, I'll be delving so much into that. Know who you are is a statement of self-awareness. And of course, we know there is a self-awareness crisis also among many young people, identity crisis, self-awareness crisis. You don't know who you are, you don't know what you can do, and then you're applying for a job. And so how does that even, how does the employer, deal with that? The best the most you will do is to cause damage to someone's business. So we spend most of our life at our jobs or at work. So we need to look for jobs and work that aligns with our passion and purpose. Okay. And you see the reason as to why there is so much frustration at the workplace lately or these days is because people are just working for the money. They're not passionate about what they're doing. And I understand we need to survive, but we can also prepare ourselves to take up jobs that we are passionate about. And it's possible. Okay, it's possible. So we spend most of our times at work. So we need to prepare ourselves, especially for the young people. Okay, probably there are some who have already crossed to the world of work and are already there, and probably there's a bit of crisis management there. But we're saying for those that have not yet entered, take time and study yourself. Know what you want, know the things you're passionate about. Then strategically approach organizations that suit that attract you, that attract your passions and purposes, and write to them and tell them, I would like to work with you because the things you're doing are things I'm passionate about, and I think I can add my skills, my knowledge, and I can add value to your organization in this way. Mention things you've done before and mention things that you would like to do for that organization. But also I need to caution that we need to avoid being a jack of all trades and a master of none. That is supposed to be of, okay? Now, of course, in this dispensation of AI and trying to survive, we are being encouraged to be multi-skilled professionals, multi-skilled professionals. And that is right. It's true. And we encourage young people not to focus so much on one thing and, fail to develop skills in other areas because things are changing and at a very high rate. But we're saying be careful and tread carefully. Don't be all over the place so that you get lost in the entire system of trying to be relevant. You go to the banking sector, you're there. You're a banker, then you're a teacher, then you're in agriculture, then you're in, I need to be careful here. All I'm saying is that when you choose to do something, choose to go the whole way and build professionalism in it. Be an expert of one or two or three areas, but avoid doing so many things and you don't even have expertise in any. You're not being perfect in any. You cannot do excellently well a particular job because you're all over the place. So you can have 2, 3, or 4 kinds of skills that you've perfected, and then you execute them well. There you become a multi-skilled professional. But where you're doing so many things and you cannot do one thing excellently well is very dangerous. So I just felt I needed to mention that. And now let me go talk still about interviews. In a little while, I'll be explaining or defining what interviews are, especially job employment interviews. But for now, we need to understand there are many types of interviews, many types, and I'll be sharing later, and they can happen anywhere in places you least expect. And we've had so many stories of these, stories of how young people were called for interviews and some ended up disrespecting the askari, and the askari had a camera in his room, and the askari is the one who has given the authority to, to determine who is going to take up that particular job. And, the askari would ask quite a number of questions, probably to test patience. And in asking, for you think he's wasting your time, and say, you know what, I'm late, don't waste my time. And then you end up even disrespecting the askari. Others will just come and bypass the askari, without even greeting and saying hello. And those who would bypass and get out, probably say hello and then go out. Others would come and then just get out even without, thanking him, just bypass him, shui, and then they go. And then it's only those few who bothered to, have a good interaction with him, even asked him about the organization, and those who actually thanked him for letting them in, who were considered for the job. So we need to be careful. Job interviews don't only take place in the boardroom. They don't only take place in the HR's office. I've bowlers, for those who are net bowlers, and all they are looking to stress you. We call them stress interviews, and so we need to look out. There is an interview a young lady was sharing where she was asked, have you had sex before? And she got so pissed. She went numb for some time, just to calm down herself. And she was asking, why are you asking me such questions? Are they part of of what I'm going to do? And really, they're just checking your stress level. So anyway, look for both hard skills and technical skills. Look for both hard technical skills and soft skills. And soft skills, look for both technical. During interviews, they look for both hard skill and soft skills, although soft skills are highly considered. And in a while, we shall be seeing why. A lot of research has been done, and and usually soft skills come out highly in regards of workplace success. And so in as much as you have your academic qualifications, always mind the soft skills. Always take part in building your interpersonal relationship skills, and your leadership skills, your communication skills, and so on and so forth. These are some of the things that can be seen through observation during interviews. You don't have to say, I'm a leader. Someone will just hear from what you say, whether you're a leader or not. Okay. And so your soft skills, they're not, usually they come out in your disposition other than on your academic qualifications. Now, there are young people these days going for all sorts of certificates, and attending all sorts of trainings. But I need to tell you that even as we acquire these certificates in leadership and all these things, if you don't put to practice what you're being taught, you'll end up carrying certificates in leadership and you won't be hired for any leadership position. Leadership is very practical, and you need to understand what it is. And even communication, you'll have a certificate in public speaking and you won't be able to speak well. So we need to help young people avoid accumulating certificates without necessarily even having the skills. And so if you've been trained in public speaking, practice the public speaking. And there's so many ways you can do that. So when preparing for an interview, number 4, first and most importantly, know who you are. It's a question of self-awareness and what you can do. Preparing for interviews is a process. There is the before, which I'm going to focus so much on, because I earlier said that what makes you successfully pass an interview is not what you do during the interview, is not what you do or say during the interview. It's not what you do or say after the interview. It is what you do. It's what you do before the interview. And so a lot of attention needs to be paid in the before the interview, not during or even after. And the before the interview is when you're in school, when you're in school, the skills you're getting, when you're at home, And so let me define a job interview, and I got this from the Oxford Handbook of Personal Assessment and Selection. A job interview is an interview consisting of a conversation. Probably I'll put it's a conversation between a job applicant and a representative of an employer, which is conducted to assess whether the applicant should be hired. What are they looking for? Knowledge and skill. Knowledge, skill, experience. Okay, this should come out in the entire interview process. Are you knowledgeable about the job you're asking for? Do you have the necessary skills? And do you have a bit of experience, things you've done before that make you think you best suit that job? Okay, so we don't get the knowledge during the interview, we get it before the interview. And that's why I said before, we should pay attention to the before, not the during and after. So when do you get the knowledge? Before the interview. When do you get the skills? Before the interview. And when do you get the experience? Before the interview. So the conversation that is happening between you and the representative of the employer, you could be before a panel or before an HR officer, all these things you're bringing, you should have prepared before, okay? Before you're hired. Now, there are common types of interviews. There's the in-person, there's the phone. Now, in-person, they'll look at your academic qualifications or the CV you've submitted before. They'll look at it, and if they think you're best suited for the job, they'll call you, and then you come for an interview. That's the in-person. Or they'll give you a phone call. If you're far, you'll have a phone interview. And then just to assess whether you're best suited for the job. Then sometimes you'll be invited to a panel interview. Some of the interviews are informal. You'll meet over a cup of coffee. You'll meet on a pitch of sorts. But also you can be put virtually on Zoom or on Google Meet and all that. But as I mentioned, there are so many other different types of interviews that people have written about. And when you go online, you'll see them in their detail. And so for me, I'm just flashing this for your information. But what should clearly come out here is the fact that interviews do not, and this is for the young people, not all interviews happen in a boardroom kind of setting. Please understand that. You can even be interviewed via email. Just the back and forth communication, just the back and forth communication. And so we need to understand that. Now, I want to delve into the before that I was talking about. It's important that we prepare, and I don't know how best I can emphasize the issue of preparation. This will help us avoid the pitfalls of youth unemployment. When we prepare for the interview or for the jobs or for the work we want to do, it helps us become confident in what we are going to say and do. It helps us to be comfortable during the interview process because, I mean, we've seen young people, I've seen young people in boardrooms sweating over an interview. Now, it's sometimes it's a natural response of the body to, some kind of fear comes in, even adults, when you're going in for an interview. But you see, it's a preparation process that helps you calm down a bit. If you know that you've been preparing yourself for quite some time, you feel comfortable during the interview. Why? Because you have what they are asking for, you have the skills they need, you have the services they want. And so you speak not from things you've crammed online, but you speak comfortably from the wealth of experiences or the wealth of exposure or the hardships you've gone through. Those things should come in naturally and help you during the interview. Bring in yourself, bring in your past experiences, bring in, and I'm saying this because recently a friend of mine was sharing how a young man just traveled from up country, came to office. He really wanted to work on a radio station, came to office and said, I'm looking for such and such a person. They directed him and he had his shaggy hair. He wanted to work on radio, his baggy jeans and baggy t-shirt. and appeared in front of this guy and said, I want to work on radio. I want to work on radio. And that was his statement, telling you, I'm from such and such a place. I really want to work with this radio. He was not invited for an interview. He didn't read a job advert. He wanted to work. He was looking for work. And so he comes in and talks about himself, says, I've just finished with, I stopped in my senior four, and then I like, working on radio, and yeah. And then at the end of the day, he said, I also smoke weed, something like that. He smokes, weed, and you can imagine the shock that the guy, he was talking too hard. Someone would think, why would you even say that? But I think this young person was just being vulnerable, and he was being authentic as he could be, so that if there's any help he could get from working there and any kind of mentorship, he could get it from that place. Anyway, long story short, we were told that when they called for interviews, generally that young person took up the job because he was so genuine about who he was. He was so authentic. He had nothing to hide, and he was very passionate. And they assigned the gentleman who suggested him for the interview to be the one to mentor him, to turn him into a professional, someone. And as we speak now, the young person is doing well on radio. From the follow-up, he's doing one. He's no longer smoking weed, and they're helping him take a professional kind of. What am I saying? Young people don't need to lie and tell lies about their experiences or their stories when they come for interviews, and try to build plastic lives around themselves just to get the job. How far should you go in being genuine about who you are? I think that is something that I need to assess. But I think for me, what I'm saying here is don't tell lies, and just come with your story and tell people what you want to do, who you are, and what services you can offer. So the preparation process will help you be more confident. It will help you be comfortable, and it will help you be successful. Because Zig Ziglar, as we all know him, he says success occurs when opportunity meets preparation. So the preparation process, again, I emphasize, is key, so that when the job interview is called for, it finds you prepared, it finds you ready to take up the job. But also, Abraham Lincoln tells us that if I had 8 hours to chop down a tree, I would spend 6 hours sharpening my axe. Again, this speaks to the preparation process. We don't prepare when you're called for an interview. No, you should have prepared before. We don't prepare in the interview or after the interview. We prepare ourselves before, and this is just for emphasis. So this is what I have to say about this. It's what you do before the interview that gets you the job, not what you do during the interview or after the interview. Yeah, again, before the interview, I mentioned that research was conducted by Harvard University, the Carnegie Foundation, and Stanford Research Center. And this is what it has concluded, that 85% of soft skills and people skills, and only 15% of job success comes from technical skills and knowledge. Those are the hard skills. And you might be wondering, so what are the soft skills and what are the hard skills? And you can go online and search these. Again, this is just for your information. Your hard skills are your professional degrees and certificates, your industry-specific knowledge, software proficiency, speaking a foreign language, project management, the IT skills, and all those things. Those contribute 15% to job success. And that's the research that has been done. Now, this is not to despise the academic qualifications that, the academics we are going through as young people. It is for your awareness to know that when they tell you to form groups when you're at campus or to form groups when you're at school, they are helping you develop your soft skills. And one of the things they emphasize is teamwork. Go in teams. Sometimes I've seen they tell students form groups for group coursework. Then they abandon the group coursework to 1 or 2 people. What are they trying to develop? They're trying to develop work ethics. They're trying to develop working in teams. They're trying to help you communicate, because during class time, young people don't usually say a lot in class, but in a small group, you're able to communicate, you know? And so again, this is not to despise academic qualifications. We need them. But you need to understand that AI and robotics are taking up the space of hard skills. And so you can be a very good engineer, but when a robot comes to replace you, um, they'll replace you with the robot if you don't have soft skills. And we know that robots have not yet, at least for as long as I know, they've not yet acquired these soft skills, although they are communicating, but they are not yet there. And so we still have the opportunity to develop these soft skills. And we develop these soft skills over a period of time, right from home, through school, through our different workplaces. We need to develop our soft skills. And soft skills, they are things you teach yourself. They are not things you learn in class. And I said earlier, you'll have a very beautiful certificate in leadership skills by whatever organization. But if you can't exhibit the leadership skills, if you don't take effort in getting a leadership role and, you know, getting that experience so that it nurtures you into the kind of leader you want to become. So you don't get a leadership certificate and shun leadership responsibilities. You'll have your beautiful certificate in public speaking and you won't be able to communicate or to speak in public. So soft skills, you take the initiative to teach these things to yourself, okay? You need, I call it parenting yourself, taking care of yourself, teaching yourself, self-education. So allow me share this again, that before the interview, we need to prepare. And I mentioned that the first thing you need to do is to know who you are. Know who you are. Some of us know our gadgets more than we know ourselves. Some of us know our computers and phones more than we know ourselves. And you say, when they ask you, who are you? You say your name. No, that's your name. That's not who you are. Okay. And so in brief, I've shared an acronym there, and this is by Rick Warren. I've personally done an entire study on self-awareness, and I do most of my trainings in self-awareness and, you know, just helping people discover who they are and discover their, you know, potential, especially for the young people. There's an identity crisis, but there is also a lack of self-awareness, and this is making them make very wrong decisions, very dangerous decisions that are compromising their values and their morals, and it's a lack of self-awareness. So how do you know yourself? Take the acronym SHAPE. This is to help us understand that we've been shaped for we on a daily, we wake up to get shaped for the kind of person we want to be in future. The experiences you've gone through, the good and bad, are all shaping you for the kind of person probably God wants to use for the future, or the kind of professional you want to be in the future. So the S stands for your supernatural abilities, things you are naturally good at. If you were in the religious circles, those would be your spiritual gifts. But for purposes of this training, we'll call those supernatural abilities, things you're naturally good at. You need to know them. You need to make a list. Ask yourself, what are those things I am very good at without struggling, and make that list. But also, those will inform your strength, although you also need to know your weaknesses. And in a short while, we'll see how do you, know your strengths and weaknesses. Usually, if you know your temperament, this can actually help you because temperaments have strengths and have weaknesses. And yeah, so you also need to know the things you're passionate about, your heart, things that are close to your heart, things that burden you. And so if street children on the road burden you, you'll want to work with organizations that, cater for street children. If babies or little ones who are abandoned are things that break your heart, you want to work with organizations that look after orphans. If things to do with climate and climate change, weather, things that burden you, then you will want to look for organizations that deal in such. So understand the things you're passionate about. Now, when I say things that you're passionate about, many young people will say, I'm passionate about money. You've not answered the question. And so you need to ask these things. You will take an introspection. You have to have a meeting with yourself to come up with these. Okay. But also you can ask people who are close to you to tell you these things. For example, you can ask a friend, what are some of those things you think I am good at? And then someone will tell you and you note them down. Then you ask, what are those things you think I am passionate about? Because you might not know, but other people know. And then you write them down. It's self-awareness. Some of us know other people well than we even know ourselves because we're always in other people's business. So what I'm saying is take a meeting, have a meeting with yourself and get to know who you are. Abilities, the skills you've learned over time from home, from school, in the community, all those volunteering experiences, write them down, okay? And the skills here, we're talking about both soft skills and hard skills. Say, I got a certificate in leadership, I got a certificate in public speaking, I got a certificate in project management. Do you have those skills? Write them down. These will help you when you're applying for jobs, because I mean, these are the things they are going to ask you in the interview room. They'll ask you, so if you ask a friend what you're good at, what is that one thing they would say? And they'll ask you that in the interview room. And if you don't know your strength, you won't have an answer because you've not asked that question. Okay, so skills, look for the hard skills and soft skills. Personality, your temperament, your personality style. Do you know it? Your personality style helps you associate with other people. And the reason we say other people are slow, other people are complicated, other people are weird, other people are possessed is because we don't know who we are. We don't know our temperament, our personality style, and we don't even know other people's personality styles. Now, a few weeks ago, I was just doing a whole presentation that took almost the whole day just on temperaments and personality style, just helping people understand what is my personality style. It helps you know yourself better, but it also helps you deal with other people better, and it helps you associate with other people to work with a team better. So when you know that I am a sanguine, you'll know that your colleague is a choleric, you'll know your colleague is a phlegmatic, you know your colleague is a melancholic, or that could be you and other people are that. So when you're dealing with people, or even when you're in an interview room, and these days they do give out personality style links for you to fill even during the interview. But we've not taken time to know what our personality style is. And the assignment, I think, from here is for you to go online and figure out what your personality style is. Feel free to share the answers with me. I can guide you through a whole session on just trying to understand your personality style. Your personality style is what helps you associate or network with other people. Your disposition and their disposition coming together so that you don't clash. And the reason people are that person, I don't know what's wrong with that girl, I don't know what's wrong with that boy, but the truth is you don't even know what is wrong with yourself because you're failing to connect with other people, and your temperament, your personality is at play. And so we need to understand our personality and our temperament if we are going to associate well with each and every person in the workplace, at the jobs we're taking up. Also, our experiences. Right now, we have the statistics are alarming on suicide rates among the young people. So any challenge that many young people face is just blown out of proportion, and it takes them into abnormal degrees of stress and depression. And this is very worrying. But I just need young people on call to understand that whatever experience you're going through is preparing you for the kind of person you're going to be in future. And some of the experiences may be really hard. We've gone through them. Many of the mentors of call have gone through them. This life is not easy as probably you grew up thinking. Life is hard and it's painful. Yes, you can have some good breaks, but it's always an uphill task. I was sharing with young people yesterday at a retreat that I think we need an entire curriculum on helping young people how to deal with pain and adversity, how to have some coping skills, so that probably these mental health statistics can come down. We need to tell people that it's okay to feel pain. And I usually tell my children that that not all pain is bad, so you don't have to kill all pain that comes through. You have a headache, you swallow painkiller. You have a leg sprain, you swallow a painkiller. Yeah, you're always looking for painkillers. You don't have money for breakfast, you look for a painkiller. Look for someone to call. You don't have MBs, you look for a painkiller. It's okay to be without MBs, other than compromising on your principles and morals and values just to get MBs. I hope you understand what so you're shaped. We are constantly going through, as young people, being shaped for a certain time T. And it is this shape that we carry to the workplace, to the world of work. Now, if you don't know what you're naturally good at, if you don't know your strengths, if you don't know your weaknesses, if you don't know the things you're passionate about, and if you don't know your skills and you can't even point fingers to them, if you don't know your personality, your temperament, your personality style, and if you can't list your experiences, both good and bad over time, I can simply say, then don't bother applying for a job. Don't bother entering the world of work, because you're bringing your shape to the workplace. And if you can't document these things, then you're going to get into people's businesses and you're going to destroy them. Because these are the tools, I would even say, that are going to help you execute an excellent, put up a very good act of work at the workplace. Your ignorance of these things is going to destroy you, is going to destroy other people, because you're going to end up frustrating other people. But most importantly, it's going to, make you contribute to the poor performance of the organization. And we have very many people in organizations who don't know what they are good at. They don't know their weaknesses. They don't know things they are passionate about. They don't know skills, or they don't have the necessary skills. They can't put in, they can't put down the experiences and say, how can I use these experiences to do this kind of job? And they're there misfunctioning or malfunctioning at the workplace. Now we're saying, as young people, you shouldn't be like that. You have the opportunity to prepare yourself. You have the knowledge now. What are you going to do about it? Our time is running. And so know your strengths, know your weaknesses. And some of the strengths, they'll ask you, what are you good at? Or what do people say you're good at? You can be dedicated, creative, flexible, resourceful, you have problem-solving skills, you can work under pressure, all those things, good things. Then I must mention at this point that when you are asked for weaknesses, please never say that you don't have weaknesses. Never say you do not have weaknesses, because God created you with weaknesses. So naturally and automatically you have them. Just because you're ignorant about them does not mean they are not there. And so you need to understand. And again, I mentioned, when you know your temperament, for example, I'll tell you I am a choleric. Okay, the dominant kind of personality type. I know that my weakness, one of my strengths, is that I get things done, in an efficient and an effective manner. One of my weaknesses is that I am impatient, and that probably informs why I get things done very fast. My impatience does not make me a failure, or your weakness does not make you a failure. It simply means that's why you need to rely on another person's strength so that you can become effective. I don't know if I've been understood there. Your weakness, when they ask you for weakness, or for someone to ask you your weakness, is not looking for places to, quote you as a failure. No, it is just your acceptance, or your recognition that, hey, I can't do everything on my own. I can rely on someone else's strength so that I can be effective at my work. And so the way God did it is that for everybody, he gave strength and weaknesses so that we can complement each other. Now, they mentioned earlier, I am a married woman, been married for the last 9 years, for 9 years, yes. But you see, my husband is phlegmatic. I am choleric. And so his strength is my weakness. You know, his strength comes to complement my weakness, and my strength complements his weakness. So he has strength, he has weaknesses, I also have strength. And so they're coming together, and is the acknowledging that, hey, I can't do this on my own, I need you. And that's the attitude we take at work. You know, that will help you also tease out on the pressure of wanting to do everything so that you're seen as, you know, the star of the workplace. No, it is for you to know that we don't work alone. When you're in organizations, we need to work with other people. So yes, before the interview, know what you want. And a job is not a job, you know. And I've casually asked this question to many young people who tell me, Madam Anita, I'm looking for a job. Please, if there is any job, recommend me. Then I ask them, what can you do? And they tell me anything. Now that's where the conversation will end, unless it's a mentorship session we are going into, you know. The first secret of getting what you want, you know, you're looking for something. You want something. So the first secret to getting what you want is knowing what you want, and then you go for it. Know what you can do. I've already mentioned that. Know your skills. Know what you are selling. I've already mentioned that. Know the organization you want to work with. Do your research about the organization. If possible, visit them as a potential customer or client if you don't want to go there as an applicant. And yesterday, again, I was telling the young people I was talking to, these days, organizations, send your CV. Send your CV. And you also send the CV online, actually. They give you an email address. And you don't even bother going to the organization. Now, there are some organizations where they will block you, you know. But I said you need to have a strategy on how you're going to enter into the workplace. If you keep sending all your CVs online without making an attempt in going to visit even that organization you want to work with, you don't even know the secretary's name, who might actually link you to the right person, you will stay unemployed for the rest of your life. And I keep telling young people, even some of the employers who might be on call, yes, send your CV, but go there. If you're not going there as an applicant, go as a potential client or customer. Services they are offering, you know, it's we want to say, is it a cacodio or is it you know, you're doing your research, you're doing your background research, you know, so that by the time the opportunity comes in for you to say, you know, yeah, come in. Or sometimes you might want to enter that organization first as a volunteer so that when they advertise for a job, you apply. But anyway, I think what I wanted to mention here is please stop sending CVs, you know, just online. And unless the job is abroad. If it's abroad, that's understandable. But please, if the job is within, make an attempt to go visit the organization, have an interaction with those guys. They are very interesting people. They have opened up their organizations to serve you. So they won't chase you away. I keep telling them, at least they'll listen to you, you know? Yeah, and if you're still at campus, you're still in school, visit when you're at campus so that you say, I am from Makerere University, and I've just come to see some of the things that are done in this organization, get to know, network with them. Because when you leave campus and then you just go there with your name, say, I am so and so, and you know, sometimes it's a little bit complicated. But when you're at campus, utilize, go into those organizations and visit them earlier. Find out if they have volunteering opportunities or jobs. Write your CV, then apply for the job. Now, writing the CV, for you to write a nice CV, you'll need to know your shape. The shape I shared earlier, your supernatural abilities, the things you're passionate about, the skills, your personality, and your experiences. Those are the things you put in your CV. Now, if you don't know your shape, your CV will lack. But writing a CV is an entire curriculum. And I have a friend of mine, I don't know if he's on call, a fellow alumni of INT, Abel Walekwa, very good at helping you write a CV. And if INT can invite him just to help young people learn how to write a CV. And FLSA and the team at INT, please look for Abel Walekwa. He's also an OXID, and let him come and teach young people how to write CVs. I'm not sure whether he's on call. Okay. Reread their job advert if they have advertised for the job. Some of them, there will be no job advert, but even when there is no job advert, find out about the job, at least from people within the organization. Be prepared with examples of similar work done. Okay. Conduct mock interviews. I mean, you can have a friend, and usually there are these commonly asked questions during interviews, and I've put for you a link there. Writer Monday has done well in helping give out such information. When you click that link, you will get a lot of information on how to prepare to answer for those questions they ask during interviews. Come with hard copies of your academic documents and your CV. I've been to interview panels, and someone walks in and we want copies of their academic documents and they don't have them. Now, even if they told you to send your documents, please carry hard copies. Clean up your social media accounts. And then I think what I want to mention here is there's an interview panel I was on, and when we asked for academic documents, a young man presented forged academic documents, a certificate from one of the universities in engineering. And in engineering, and when I looked through the O and A level, the O level, and maybe mentors on call, let's advise our young people not to forge academic documents. While working as a director of admissions in KIU, I was working in the verification. I interacted a lot with the verification process of academic documents. I could tell a fake academic document from a distance. Senior 4, Senior 6, transcripts. And there are so many young people with fake impersonated academic documents out there. So anyway, I just wanted to mention that please have your genuine academic documents, whether you're happy with the results you got or not. As a career counselor, we've counseled so many people on how to use the results they have to get to get their next levels in career. Clean up your social media accounts. I think this is also another whole session, FLSC and the team at INT. We need a session for young people to tell them how to clean up their social media accounts. These days, employers ask for your social media links, and you get there, and there's a lot of funny content or content you don't even want to interact with. Yeah, prepare the right clothes, have good sleep, and eat well. If you know you have an interview, eat well before the interview. Prepare the right clothes for the interview day, and have good sleep. So it's the interviewer's job to know that his privacy is going to be invaded at some level of the interview process. Otherwise, you're better off not doing the interview. So be ready to share your social media accounts, because they'll ask for them. LinkedIn, X, Facebook, Instagram, and some of it's unfortunate that some of our social media accounts have contributed to the to us not getting employed, because there are some organizations who just don't like to be out there in the public. And when they find when you're always, even WhatsApp status, there's a girl I know who missed a job because of the WhatsApp status. And the employer is the one who sent me the screenshot. Said, I can't work with this. And so many times I've seen young people posting things on status. I take screenshots, I send them back. I say, really? Was this really necessary for you to post on status? It will come back to you, you know that, you know? So at the end of the day, we need to be very, very careful. So I have spent a lot of time on the before process. The rest is just, I'm just going to rush through it, because it is the before the interview that gets you the job, not the during and not the after. The during, well, because if you've not prepared, you're going to come panicking for the interview. You're going to come worried, a lot of fear. You don't know what you're selling. You don't know who you are. You don't know the skills you are. You don't have the necessary skills. And so at the end of the day, you don't expect to perform miracles if you didn't prepare for during the before process. You don't expect to, you know, make miracles during the interview. So during the interview, show up and be in time. Arrive 20, 30 minutes earlier. It helps you to relax and to interact with the environment. Be smart, mind your scent. First impression matters. I don't need to say more about that. Carry hard copies of your documents, authentic documents, and a notebook. Treat everyone you find with respect. Know your interviewer by name. By name. Usually the interview panel will introduce itself. So I know we can want to be humble, but the issues of sir and madam can be very many. That's why you need a notebook. When someone mentions their name, note down the name so that when you're addressing, you address people by their name. Sit up, speak up, be confident, and smile. Now I'm saying sit up because some of the sitting positions during these interviews, if you're seated, can really affect your tone of voice. So you're not able to speak up. So speak up, be confident, smile. Again, you can only speak up and be confident if you did the preparation earlier. Now, when you come to the interview, tell your personal story from previous experiences. Don't tell lies. Before the task you undertook, what kind of actions you came up with, or what task it was, situation, the task that it was, the actions you undertook, and then the results. You use that kind of approach when responding to questions. Be authentic and positive. Try so much to tie your answers to your skills and accomplishments, other than looking for things off-head and from all over the place. Tie your answers to your skills and your accomplishments. Keep your answers brief and focused. Usually the interview process, unless they keep asking for more and more, but if you've prepared, you'll keep your answers brief and focused. Don't speak negatively about previous employers. You see, those guys, they would overwork us and then give us little money. You don't really have to say that anyway. Come prepared to discuss your salary expectations. Yes. Expectations. You don't go to the market and determine the price of tomatoes. You go there and they'll tell you the price and you'll buy, or you'll go to another stall. So know what you're selling and put a price to it. Yes, of course, usually the organization has a salary scale, but if they don't have, through your background research of the organization, you should have found out how much do they pay such people. But if you go there, you've not bothered to ask other people and all that, it can be a challenge. So be ready to discuss your salary expectations. And I think this is what I want to sum this up with. If you prepare, if you practice and demonstrate enthusiasm and confidence, you can show recruiters and hiring managers that you're the person they want for the job. It will take preparation. Preparation is where the job is. Preparation, okay? Preparation, yeah. Then you practice, find someone to do mock interviews with, demonstrate enthusiasm and confidence. This will help them. So after the interview, don't just go and sleep. Say, the interview was good or the interview was tight. No. And this should be, after the interview or even before you leave the interview, ask them what the next steps would be, whether they'll get in touch with you, whether you should follow up, or you can do that via email after the interview. But also send a thank you email or letter. Then what I've seen sharp people do also is to go online and connect with some of the people in the interview, panel. Just connect with them on social media so that they can start seeing some of the things you're posting and things you're passionate about. Go and network with them online. Like their pages on social media. Send any supporting document if they have asked for it and you don't have it, send it. Contact your references and let them know. Now, they're young people, and I know some of the mentors online have also experienced this. Someone will put you as a reference, and they won't let you know. Then they go for interviews. Even after the interviews, they won't let you know. Then before you know it, they call you asking about this person, and you don't even remember the person. So please let your references know that you put them as as a reference, and anytime they'll be called. And yes, we need to wait. And as you wait, prepare for your next interview. And how do you prepare? Acquire knowledge, acquire skills, acquire experience. Don't enter into the blame game of, I applied for that job 2 months ago, they have not yet called me. No. And don't get so frustrated, don't get so frustrated about these things. Just know that you'll apply, they won't get in touch with you, or they'll get in touch with you. I mean, these are things we should expect. If they don't get in touch with you, send a follow-up email or, letter. Play your part and leave the rest to the organization to determine whether they call you or not. When you get the job, don't forget to say thank you. Yeah. Even if you said it earlier after the interview, but say it again. Say thank you to the employer. Attend orientation. Usually some organizations do orientation for new staff, but some don't. I remember one of the organizations I went to work for, they didn't give me any kind of orientation. So I needed to figure out the entire organization, the land it was seated on. And I ended up getting lost, actually, just trying to figure out which office is where and all that. And I found myself exiting the gate because there are quite a number of gates. So I exited one of the gates and found myself entering into another gate, but it was okay. So what I'm saying is, even when you don't get oriented, get someone who can help you orient you about the organization. Then work. Be a worker, not an employee, not just an employee. A worker is the one who looks for work, is the one who works. Goes beyond their job description is what I'm saying. And those good employees are employees who work within their job description and don't even want to go any. They say, that's not my job. That's not my job. But a worker will even go beyond, They won't say, the office is dirty. How can where is the cleaner? And then you look for that. No. You will either stand up and go and look for them, or if there is a broom, you get the broom and sweep the office. Be a worker, not just an employee. Be a team player. Learn how to work with people, in other words. So work on your interpersonal relationship skills. Study the culture of the organization. I have seen people who come up with their or cultures of previous organizations or mindset, and they come into this new organization, and because they are so fixed with a certain culture, they just come and mess up the organization at a leadership level. But those that are not at a leadership level then struggle to, join others. Then mind your business. I mean, do your job, act. You have a task you are hired for. Go do what you've been hired for. Yes, do extra more. Take care of your workplace, but mind your business. I'm saying this because there's sometimes a little bit gossip and trying to find out why is that guy like that? Why is this guy like that? Why did the manager tell me that? And majoring in minors. Ask for help when you need it, and it will need you to communicate professionally, if I might add. Deliver. You were hired to offer service, so please deliver. Get a mentor, someone who has gone before you, but most importantly also mentor someone else. So again, I mentioned this in my earlier statements. Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as if you're working for the Lord, not for human masters. It's easier. Human masters can frustrate. So when you try to put up to their standards, sometimes you'll get frustrated. But when you know you're working for the Lord, and I'll say this from the book of wisdom, work to please God. You'll do excellently well. But human masters will restrict you to a job description, and you may underperform. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Anita Malinga, Anita Malinga. I'm the Executive Director, Shine Leadership International. It's been a privilege just having this moment with you. I hope and pray that what I have shared has added value to you. And it's at this juncture that I hand over to FLSA and the team at INT. In case there are any questions, I'll now respond to them. Thank you. Thank you for your time, and thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Malinga. This was a very insightful session. Thank you so much. A lot has been said, and I'm sure we've all learned a lot. Really, thank you so much for taking your time and for going through over all of this with us, with the very practical ways in which to get this and moving along, moving ahead, we'll know obviously to do those particular, to take the particular steps that you've asked us to. So thank you so much. We do have some questions. I'm sorry that I dropped off at some point. So if anyone wrote a question while I wasn't here, if I don't read your question, may you please write it again or ask the question. Mrs. Malinga, may I please read the questions?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, so the first one I can see is Mr. Joseph, my honest opinion about my previous employers.
Oh, yes. Do you want me to answer each question as it comes in? Yeah.
Sure.
Honest opinion. Ask you your honest opinion about your spouse. You still need to protect yourself and you need to protect your spouse. Doesn't matter how honest you'll be. I still say that don't speak negatively about your employer, because you're asking for a job and your next opinion, and opinions are subjective. Okay, so yeah, for as long as it's negative, just keep quiet. You know, they remember, they, in as much as no matter how bad they were, they gave you a platform to get skills, they gave you a platform to get experience, and they gave you a platform you know, for your next job. Let's focus on the positives. Let your opinion be inclined to the positive. Yeah, I mean, experiences can be good and bad. Why focus on the negative? You mean to say that out of whatever you learned from your entire experience at that workplace was negative? I don't think so. You either got a new connection, a new network, a new friend. Or you also maybe got you know, the skills and the experiences. So focus on the positives. That's what I would say.
No,
I don't know if I hope that answers you.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry. Yes, you're right. Let me read the next questions all together, and then you can answer. Just a second, please. Okay, so yeah, so someone is asking, sorry about that. Forgive me for my speed.
It's okay.
Yes, there is this question that some employers ask. I have your CV here. Now tell us who you are. How do you go about it? That's question one. The other one is, if they ask what's your salary expectations, what do you say? The amount or what? How do we appropriately decline to employers who want to see your pay slip? The other one is, some organizations are good at asking the salary scale you expect. How do you answer that? Those are the questions we have so far.
Yeah, tell us who you are. I earlier mentioned that you need to know your shape. Now, I don't know if talking about the shape. FLS, my other screen is the one that is active, just in case people are not seeing me. My other screen is the one that is active. Yeah.
Copy
Know
that.
your shape. Yeah. Know your shape. Know your shape. Know the things you're good at. Know your strengths. Know your weaknesses. Know the things you're passionate about. Know your personality type. That's who you are. And yes, I said, if you don't know your shape, you're going to struggle to come up with a CV, but you're also going to struggle to explain who you are. So know who you are, get to know your shape. The issue of salary expectations. Yes, I said that come ready to discuss the issue of salary expectations. And I mentioned this towards the end. I said, get to know the salary scales. You do your background search. There are people who work there. So ask them in this position, how much do they pay people who work in this position? But also, yes, the salary scale of the organization, but also do your research about how much they pay people in that kind of position. Employers who want to see your pay slip, is that your previous going to want to ask for previous contracts so that you present it. I've seen some people adding this to their CV, how much they're actually earning in their previous employment. So you mentioned, this is what I was earning. If you're comfortable with it, you mention. And if you're not comfortable, you tell them you're not comfortable sharing, but this is what you would want to earn in the new, in the job that they're hiring for. Yeah. I don't know if that answers it.
Thank you so much for that. We have a new question that just came in. What do you do when you enter the room, the interview room, and the interview panel just looks at you?
Okay, so they invite you in the room. What do? It's just good manners that when you meet people, the first thing you do is greet them. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is so and so. Thank you for having me. And you keep quiet. They will either tell you to have a seat, but someone should say something. I mean, they called you into the interview room. Yeah. So when they invite you, they call out your names. They're the ones who have called you. So when they call you, you greet them, introduce yourself, and wait for the next the job you've applied for. Yes, Felisa, over to you.
Thank you so much. We're learning so much. I truly am grateful. I know that you're busy and you've taken time out of your schedule to help us. Truly, truly grateful. I'm sure everyone here feels the same way. May I please open up the floor for anyone who wants to say something? If you couldn't put it in the chat, if you have a comment, if you have a question for Mrs. Malinga, may you please say something? May you please unmute and speak to us?
Hello, good morning, everybody. I'd raised my hand, so maybe let me lower it. I'm called Edith. Anita, thank you very much for such an insightful presentation. I just thought I should probably add a little bit more on some of the issues you talked about. I'm an HR professional, so this is a topic that's really important. One of the things that I feel people need to prepare for before the interviews is to actually know their resume. You have situations where candidates do not even remember the contents of their resume during the interviews. You ask somebody, which year did you complete university? And they can't remember. So it's very important as you go into the interview room to know your resume inside out, because you actually have to own it. Your resume is the one that got you through the door into the short list. So you need to be able to respond to whatever questions are pertaining around the resume. Then there's another area that Anita talked about, the preparation before the interview. You talked about the need to prepare. I also think on top of that, you also need to practice, probable questions. You shared a link with Brighter Monday, but there are those questions that are standard that we all know always appear. Tell me about yourself. You responded that, yes, look at the shape. What is your shape? But I think it's important to take it a notch further. And when you're going for an interview, actually sit down and say, who am I? I am Anita Muhaire. I am this and this and this. And practice, if possible, in front of a mirror, until you get it right, because you find so many times, so many people leave out salient issues about themselves, not because they don't know, but because they are panicking, they didn't practice. And so I feel that that first question that everybody asks actually will set you for, will actually give the impression about you right from the start. So tell me about yourself is a question everybody needs to practice. Practice, practice, so that you're comfortable. You can talk about yourself in front of the interviewer, and it helps set the pace for the other interviews, other questions. And the last thing is about the dress code. You talked about the need to prepare the right clothes. I think it's important for candidates to actually carry out some research about the company they're interested in. If you're interviewing in the financial sector, they tend to be formal. So, be formal. Don't come into an interview in a t-shirt or jeans. So it's important to, scan the environment you're applying into and dress accordingly. Otherwise, thank you very much, Anita, for your presentation.
Thank you so much, Edith, for highlighting some of those things that I've talked about. Thank you so much. And yes, the practice bit is very, very important. And that's why I even mentioned that we spend a bit of time just helping young people delve into some bit of self-awareness so that they get to know who they are and, get comfortable with it. And so that's why when we're sharing the SHAPE acronym, it's for them to, list those things and yes, practice, say them to yourself. Know what you're good at, know what you're not good at, know your strengths, know your weaknesses, because these are things that are going to come out in your CV, but there are things that are going to come out in that first question of tell us who you are. And I also mentioned that if you don't know your strength, if you don't know your weakness, if you don't know the things you're passionate about, if you don't know your temperament, and if you don't know the skills you have, you don't have the necessary skills for the job, and you can't document the experiences you've gone through, then you're going to have a bit of trouble in answering interview questions or even coming up with a CV. And you mentioned the issue of them knowing what is in their CV, because they tell the secretaries that the photocopies to make for them CV, okay, if they made it for you, at least take an effort to read it, as Madam Edith has said, and interact with your CV, because as you've heard, you'll be asked questions about it. Yeah, thank you so much, Madam Edith. That was very, very helpful. Thank you. Back to you, Efelesa.
Thank you, Miss Edith. Thank you so much, Mrs. Malinga.
Let me mention that the link that was shared of Brighter Monday also addresses that question. It actually addresses those standard questions, and you can use them for mock interviews with a colleague. Just test it out. Tell us about yourself and so many other questions that are shared on Brighter Monday. Thank you.
May I say something I'd forgotten, please? Yeah?
Yes.
Even to prepare for the interviews, this is one thing people never think about. At the end, they usually ask you, do you have any questions? It's always important for you to come when you're prepared to ask a question. You'll find some candidates who say, I don't have any questions. When you say you don't have any questions, it shows you're not interested. You really need to be curious about the company you're trying to join. So you need to plan and say, okay, when I get to the end and ask, do you have any questions? I need to be able to ask. If it's a company, for instance, telecom, they're doing a promotion, you can probably ask about what their plans are, the competition. You have to have a question to ask that will show that you're interested in joining the company. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Edith. Back to you, Felisa.
Thank you so much. It's always a great thing when knowledge is shared. So I'm really, really grateful to you and for everyone who has posted a question or a comment. Thank you so much for sharing. If no one else has any more questions, I would just like to thank Mrs. Malinga one more time. You've been awesome. Everything that you've given us has been like life-changing. So we're really, really grateful to you. Would it be okay if someone volunteered to give us a closing prayer and we can let everyone go about their day, a day that I'm sure is going to be productive? May someone please give us a closing prayer? Esther, would you like to give us a closing prayer?
All right. I hope I'm the one. Yes, let us pray. Father, we bless your name. We thank you for today. We thank you for your love for us. We thank you for all the things that you have been teaching us. And we pray that you will help us to remember these things, that we shall be able to just remember, practice, and be well prepared for our interviews. I pray that, Father, everyone of us will be able to have a testimony of something that we have changed in our interview process, and we shall be able to ably get the next job that we are hoping for. I pray for everyone here. I pray that they will have a wonderful day, that we shall be able to do all the things that we set out to do, and we shall be able to glorify you in everything that we do. In Jesus' name I pray and believe. Amen. Yes. Amen. I can share the YouTube link. But maybe, could you maybe send me a message? Let me put here my number, and then you'll send me a message so that I can send it to you, because it may be hard. It may be hard to get it right now and send it, but I will share it if you send me a message. That's my number.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for having me once again.
Thank you, everyone. Can close the meeting now.
Okay.
Oh yeah, and there are other meetings. I'll be sharing a link. Yeah, please invite more people.
Will do. Thank you so much.